you're having a fantastic day and a fantastic week as well. First, before I start the video, I want to thank all of you guys that watch my videos. We recently hit the 1,000 subscriber mark. I'm really thankful. I find it amazing that over 1,000 people, I think it's 1,080 subscribers, enjoy my videos, or at least took the time to watch a few and then subscribe. So I'm really thankful for you guys. And I'm thinking about doing a giveaway pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. So for today's video, I want to talk about something that I've been asked so many times that I think this video is way overdue, and that is what should you look for if you're buying an RSX? What should you be on the lookout for? What could be like a car you should stay away from, or basically, just basically what to look for if you're planning on buying an RSX. So this is an RSX buying guide. It may be base or Type S, doesn't matter, automatic, it doesn't matter. So first off, it's gonna be 5 things more or less. The last things are like a bit minor things, but I still think they're pretty important if you're considering to buy an RSX. So let's get started. The first thing I think you should be on the lookout for, and I should mention, I have had my RSX for over 5 years, so I'd say I'm a seasoned RSX owner. I think I know a little bit of what I'm talking about. I'm no expert, but in the 5 years I've had my car, I think I can give you some good details on it. So the first thing you should be on the lookout for. Honestly, if you don't know, RSXs are known for being cars that people tend to modify and swap out parts and all that. So the first thing you should be on the lookout for is the engine. Make sure the RSX you're looking at has its OEM engine. Why do I say this? RSXs, DC5s in general, whatever, they're very common to do K24 swaps. Now they do TSX K24 swaps, K24, K20 head, K24 block, and K20 head. They also do K20A engine swaps. That's the Integra Type R engine. So if you're planning on getting a reliable car that's for daily use, I honestly say try get the car that seems the most OEM without any mods. They're not easy to find, but make sure once you're looking at an RSX, it has the right engine. There could be if it doesn't, there could be trouble with the wiring harness, or any type of trouble at all, because normally if it had an engine swap, it means the person that had it for racing. So be on the lookout for that. Not many shops, I mean, there's a lot of shops that know how to do K swaps, but you don't know if the shop that did the swap on the car you're looking at was a good shop, and therefore you could be buying an RSX that the swap was done badly or in a poor manner, and it could lead to potential problems after. So I would say the first thing to be on the lookout for is the engine. Make sure it's the OEM engine. And if you're looking for a RSX to be like a daily car, that's my recommendation. If you're planning on going to the track with it, then maybe take a friend to see if the car's in good shape. Also, the second thing I would say to be on the lookout for, honestly, would be the transmissions. Now, RSXs, their transmission is not bad, but it's not great. It's a so-so transmission. What I mean by that is you might find a lot of RSXs that tend to grind second and third gear. This is kind of a Honda problem, I would say, sometimes, but in the RSXs, the transmissions, they hold power. I'm not going to deny that. I have friends that have turbo RSXs, and they produce power, great amount of power, like 300 to 400 horsepower to the wheels, and they're on the stock transmission. So that the stock transmission holds power. However, if the previous owner of the RSX did not treat the car carefully or with the required maintenance, you could easily find yourself with an RSX that has a bad second or third gear, a bad transmission. This happened to me. I had to swap my third gear, but it's because I wasn't very good to my car, and I misshifted, and my third gear broke, so I had to lower my transmission and then swap out my second and third gear. Second was kind of a B2, So I did that. So when you're looking for RSX, make sure that the person that's selling it to you lets you test drive the car. Obviously, let the guy know you're gonna test the car. You're gonna be testing the gears. So the thing is, the problem tends to be when you're in the higher RPM range. So if you're driving normally around the city or whatnot, you'll more than probably won't feel anything in the gears. It'll be just fine. RSXs tend to have that problem in second or third gear once you're getting to the 8,000 RPM range. Once you're like really redlining the car, sometimes the gears won't go in. Sometimes it will grind the gear. And this is what I mean that you should be on the lookout for when you're testing the RSX out. So make sure to let the owner know that you're interested in the car and you wish to test drive it, and just push it a little bit, step on it a little bit, and see what the transmission feels like. So be on the lookout for that. Transmissions on the RSX, I wouldn't say it's a shot in the dark, but make sure you test drive the car so you can make sure you're getting the best deal possible. So the first thing, as I said, is the engine. Make sure it's an OEM engine. Second thing, test drive the car and make sure the transmission is working correctly. Sometimes the transmissions have problems in the third gear when you're redlining it. So third thing, I would say, and this is going back to my previous point, modifications done to the car. So once again, RSXs are known for being cars that people tend to modify. Make sure when you go see the RSX that if it has any modifications, they are done correctly. If you're not a mechanic, bring a friend that maybe knows a thing or two, because he'll more probably point out things that you may not know. Either way, if you know about cars or not, it's probably good to bring a friend. He may spot things that you don't spot, but make sure that the modifications, if there are any, are done correctly. I mean, if it's an intake, a header, or exhaust, that's basic, so that's not anything to worry about. But if the person tells you it's been the block, the pistons, the rods are built, the engine basically is built, things you can't see because you can't open the engine when you're looking at the car. If the owner is telling you that it has aftermarket pistons and rods and maybe valves or valve guides or springs, retainers, be a little wary of that. Once again, not everybody knows what they're doing. If you're planning on racing RSX or tracking it, you may find it more appealing to buy a modified RSX. But buying somebody else's project is not always the right thing to do, I would say, or the smart thing to do. So if you're planning on buying RSX, most of them you will find that have something modified to them. You will very rarely see an OEM stock RSX, especially if it's a Type S. If you're looking at a base, you may not find that it's been modified, or maybe it's been swapped. The engine has been swapped, but mostly if you're looking for a Type S, you'll probably find a modified RSX than an OEM RSX. They're tough to find. I don't know how it is in the States, but at least here in Puerto Rico, it's horrible to find an OEM RSX, especially if it's 2002 to an 04 model. So that the third thing would be the modifications. Make sure they're done right, or if you want an OEM, then make sure it's OEM. And yeah, that's the third thing. So the fourth thing, now we're starting to get into things that are not as big of a deal, but I'm just going to be letting you know a couple problems the RSX has in general. Not very big things, but the fourth thing I would say is RSXs tend to have problems with the power steering pump. This is not always, this is not all RSXs, but I've met my fair share of people that own RSXs with my page, GC5 Puerto Rico, and I have met a lot of people that have had problems with their power steering pump. That's because we have a hydraulic power steering pump, and the pump tends to go bad. The EP3, the Civic Si EP3, for the same year as the 05 and 06 RSX, actually had an electronic power steering, electric or electronic. I think it's electric. So be on the lookout for that, because they tend to leak. They tend to cause problems when you're just starting the car. You'll hear the power steering pump very loudly. You'll feel the steering wheel very hard. That also happened to me. I had to have my power steering pump rebuilt because of that. So I'll show you where the power steering pump is, just in case you don't know. If you see any debris or power steering liquid or around the power steering pump, it's very dirty and grimy. That probably means that the power steering pump is bad or has been bad at any point. Not always, but it could be a sign. Just make sure to feel the steering wheel, and if the feel is all right, then just test drive the car. That's the most important thing. So the fourth thing would be power steering pumps. RSXs tend to mess a little bit those pumps. So the fifth thing is a collection of things I like to say. First off, the RSXs tend to have problems with the power door locks. In my personal case, my RSX, I had problems with my hatch actuator and my passenger door actuator. I did a video on how to replace the actuator on your hatch. I haven't done a video on how to replace the actuator on your left door, right door, passenger door, because I've been too lazy to do it. I've had the actuator for like 6 months or more in my apartment, and I haven't installed that yet. So the power door locks tend to go bad on these cars. It's just normal. I just ran out of memory in my SD card. So I was saying, it's just normal wear and tear for the actuators. They tend to go bad over the years. You're talking about a 12, 13, 15-year-old car. So yeah, there's that. Another thing to be cautious. I mean, this is just minor stuff. I'm just telling you some normal problems that RSXs have. The other thing I would say is the seats. The leather seats, the OEM leather seats with the sun tend to tear, and they break like mine, and it's pretty bad. So, but that's just cosmetic, so I wouldn't say that's anything major once again. But yeah, guys, I mean, in general, RSXs are great cars. If you're planning on getting one, you will not regret it. You'll love the car. They're great cars once again. So, and I'm not saying this because I have an RSX myself. In general, RSXs are very reliable. They're very good cars. If you do all the maintenance work and like any normal car, I'm positive it will not give you any problems. Now, once you start getting into modifications, if you're into going to the track and whatnot, and doing drag times or tracking it and circuit racing or whatever, time attack. Once you get into modifying the car, obviously you might see some hiccups here or there. Maybe you have to tune the car better, or maybe something broke because you were working with a pretty old car, because it's a pretty old car already. Bolts break, nuts tend to break as well, whatever. So in general, it's a very good car once again. So if you're planning on getting one, I hope you get a great deal on it, and I hope it treats you well. So guys, once again, the 5 things you should be on the lookout for is: first, make sure the car has the OEM engine. Preferably it doesn't have to, but if you want a reliable car, just try to get it as OEM as possible. So the OEM engine, test drive the car. Make sure to test drive the car. No matter how low or high the price, if you're interested in the RSX, test drive it. Test how the transmission is working. Let the owner know that you might give it might step on it a few times just to make sure the gears are working properly. Look at the power steering pump. See if it has any debris or any grease or any grime, and feel the steering wheel. Make sure it's not too hard. Oh, the third thing was the modifications. My bad. So make sure if the car is modified, the modifications are done correctly. If you're planning on getting the most reliable car possible, don't buy an RSX with modifications. You don't know how the owner treated the car. Then the power steering pump, and then the minor things like the power door locks, the seats, and just minor stuff that's not very important, guys. So if you have any questions, make sure to leave them down in the comment section. I'll gladly try to help you out. Once again, I've had my RSX for 5 years. I really love my car. So if you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please leave a like. Subscribe if you haven't already. If this was helpful, maybe consider subscribing if you're not a subscriber. Once again, I'm thinking of doing a giveaway. I'm not sure yet what I will do, but it's coming, guys. Once again, leave a like if you like the video. Comment any questions you might have, and I'll answer it to the best of my ability. So I'll see you guys later. Peace.